can't be that hard, right? Hi guys, welcome in and/or welcome back to my channel, home of Christy T. I'm Christy T, interior designer, content creator, and lover of all things home, decor, and DIY. In today's video, if you can't already tell by the title, we are back for part 2 of this bathroom makeover that we started last week. So if you joined us last week, then you're all caught up with the fact that we removed the popcorn ceilings. Now that the ceiling is done, it was time to tackle the next thing that we needed to remove from this bathroom, which was the countertop and the sink. So officially on day 3 of this project, and I wanted to give you guys an insight on where I am. It is what it's looking like now. I have the ceiling done, which by the time you guys are watching this video, you have already seen that video on how to DIY and remove your own popcorn ceilings. I really hope you guys can hear me because I don't have a microphone obviously in here or on right now because I have on a mask. So this is the ceiling and what the bathroom is looking like right now. So prior to my arrival, my mom decided to actually go ahead and remove the linoleum that was covering this countertop out of curiosity, obviously, but to her surprise, obviously, it was just particle board. Now, after talking with some professionals in this field, it is not recommended that you use a linoleum counter, or I think he called it a different word, which if I can remember, I'll leave it up here somewhere. But it is not recommended to technically use this type of material in a bathroom because of the high moisture content from humidity and water and blah, blah, blah. So if you have a bathroom that tends to get a lot of humidity or tends to have a lot of moisture buildup in that bathroom, it is not recommended that you use this type of material. Now, after further discussion, we decided that this cabinet itself was in a really great condition and it was built to fit the bathroom itself. So it didn't make sense to actually go out and purchase a whole new vanity. So we decided the best cost-effective way to go ahead and do this was just to remove the existing countertop. I said, it was not time to move on to the sink and this countertop. So I figured, how hard could it be? You know, how hard could it be to remove a countertop and to remove a sink from this bathroom? So using a straight edge or X-Acto knife, whichever one you want to call it, I got started by scoring the sideboards and backboard, and this is just going to allow for any caulking or anything like that to be removed so that we can then get in there and easily remove the baseboard with the crowbar and hammer. Now, using the crowbar and hammer is what I found to be the easiest way to go ahead and remove this, but your countertop and your sink may not have these attached to the walls like this, and these were thankfully attached via screws, so I only need, well, not screws, but nails, and I only needed to get those kind of like detached from the wall to be able to remove these boards. So now that the backboard and sideboards were removed, it was time to go ahead and actually remove the countertop itself, or so I thought. Have I mentioned that I'm an interior designer and I'm not necessarily on the construction side of things? But how hard could it be? I think that's the vibe for this video, is how hard could it be? But so like I said, on day 3 we were looking forward to go ahead and get that countertop off, but after removing the base, the backboards and sideboards, like I said, once I got under that countertop, I realized that there was a small issue, and that was that there wasn't an existing knob on one of the taps, i.e. the hot or cold tap, to be able to turn it off. And to be able to remove the sink, you need to be able to turn the water off, otherwise you will flood your entire home. So that day I decided to make the best use of the time until I can be able to run to the store and go ahead and drywall where we remove those boards so that I can have time to dry, and then we would tackle the other situation as it came. Now, after a quick trip to Home Depot, we were able to go ahead and replace that knob, but you'll see that in a few clips. And on day 4, I got started early that morning by go ahead and not only to add the knob onto the tap that was missing it, but also go ahead and sand the areas that we had drywalled the previous day. Alright guys, hi, we are officially on day 4 of the project, and I want to show you guys today how to turn off and or remove your own sink if you want to replace your sink basin, i.e. like this one right here, and if you want to like move it or anything like that. So we're going to be removing this sink, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that if you've never done your own plumbing, i.e. beginner friendly plumbing. Basically is what this is, how to go ahead and turn that water off and how to remove the pipes. So let's get into that. So obviously, excuse the mess, but this is the sink we are working with. You guys know by now at this point that I'm working on a bathroom makeover, a whole bathroom makeover, i.e. the tools and things. So we are removing this sink. Now you'll notice I've already turned off the water to this one. So if you turn the water on, it doesn't turn on. But what you would do is you're gonna go to your designated sink that you're looking to go ahead and turn off. You're gonna turn the water on like such. Obviously, imagine that there's water here because I just finished turning ours off. Once you are under your sink, it should look something like this, i.e. we are removing this pipe here. But you see that little valve there, and there's one on this side as well. There's going to be your hot and cold water taps. You're going to twist them all the way to the right on both sides. Keep twisting until it is nice and tight. And then you're gonna also do the same thing to the other side. As soon as you do that, you'll notice that you no longer hear any more water up here running. That was the purpose of going ahead and turning that on. That helps you to know that you for sure got the water turned off. And just like that, you have no more water access to this faucet. Now let's go ahead and remove these pipes. Now to remove the pipes, you will also be needing some tools, and at this point, Editing Christy has told you what those tools are, but we're going to use those tools, and we're going to go ahead and loosen up the sink itself and also the pipes. We're going to take the pipes out first before we remove the sink. It's going to make removing the sink a lot easier. So now that the water was off, it was time to go ahead and remove the sink basin itself. The sink basin is the actual place where the water runs into. Now this could be undermounted, it can be mounted on top. There are some that are built into the countertop, which in that case, if it was built in, we would just remove the whole thing together. But this one was undermounted, meaning that the sink itself was separate from the countertop. So there is a reason that this isn't a how-to video, because in by no means a way necessary am I a professional, and so therefore you should hire a plumber if you feel like you are not confident in doing this. However, once you have that water turned off and underneath the sink, you're going to see some piping similar to what you see here. The black part is the drainage itself from the actual sink, and you should normally be able to remove this very easily, as well as the white parts, but that was not the case for me. So I wasn't able to remove that, and we did in fact have to call in a plumber, but I did go ahead to disconnect the water from the sink itself and be able to remove that. I had to disconnect the two silver pipes that you see in the back on the left and the right. But yeah, if in doubt, call a plumber. If in doubt, call the professionals. And if in doubt, don't do it. But after removing the silver pipes from the actual sink tap itself, or the faucet, I was able to kind of get that sink down into the cabinet, but then I had to remove the countertop to be able to get the sink out. It was definitely like one problem after the next, but I was problem solving along the way, which is what you see me doing here, is removing the countertop. And guys, let me tell you something. Once you've done something like this, knowing that you didn't go to school for any of this, you feel a high amount of confidence, and you feel like, I just did that. Like, I didn't go to school for any of this. I just did that. And that is exactly how I was feeling once these pieces were starting to come off and I was lifting this countertop by myself. Now, I would personally say that this portion itself was actually easy to remove the countertop. It was removing the sink that was hard. Honestly, I'm convinced it was because of the age of the home. I found myself that every time I was twisting, trying to get those silver pipes off, I was twisting a copper freaking tube. I don't understand how that was happening instead of me twisting the metal, but it was happening. So, yeah. In this case, as I have said a lot throughout this entire video, is that this is an older style home, i.e. these are problems that you'd run into in an older style home. But what I noticed when I went to go remove the sink itself is that a lot of the pipes were corroded and or just so old that they were stuck onto each other. So what I end up having to do is actually remove the countertop around the sink and then be able to move the sink out. Now normally you remove the sink and then remove the countertop, but once again, age of the home and just Now, will I do this project again, or would I be interested in doing this project again? 1000%. I learned a lot of things along the way that I myself wasn't sure that I could do. And if you can't tell by this enthusiasm, I got the sink out. I got the sink out. I feel so accomplished. Like I can just tackle the world. Just freaking did some plumbing. I ain't go to school for plumbing. Who you know? Who you know? I mean, you know probably a lot of people, but that's right, girl. Same sentiments. Then you don't understand how good it felt to know that I myself can handle these things, not just as a woman, but just as someone who wasn't normally a handy kind of person. I was very much not the person to get my hands dirty when I was growing up. So if I can do it, you can do it. And this is honestly going to be a project that you're going to feel so accomplished when you get done. And this is what the cabinet was looking like once we had everything removed. Alright guys, so that is going to be all for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed coming along for part 2 of this mini bathroom makeover, and I hope that you guys will stay tuned for next week, because in next week, now that everything is removed and all the things that needed to be taken out are out, we can start implementing things, and that means paint and all of the fun stuff. So stay tuned for next week's video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!